And welcome to North of the Broad. I'm Robyn Zimmerman, your host. With me is the Executive Director of the Pat Conroy Literary Center. But you will notice kind of in the background that it looks a little different. That is because the Pat Conroy Literary Center has moved to a fantastic new location at 601 Bladen Street in downtown Beaufort. Jonathan, good to have you with us in this fantastic space.
Thank you, Robyn. I'm so glad I get to show it to you today.
Yes. So tell us when you moved, why you moved, a little bit about what we're seeing in the various rooms. It's a true museum.
It is, absolutely. This is our third location and a permanent one. We have bought this building thanks to a really wonderful group of donors who have given and continue to give in support of this project. So this is our permanent home in the very same way that Pat was a military brat who bounced around forever until he found Beaufort and declared this was his hometown. Now we have one as well.
Right.
So we've been in this location about a week and a half, although as you walk around it looks like we've been here for several years because we have taken over this space in a really wonderful way that, as you say, has turned it into a true museum.
What I love about it is you have different rooms as opposed to the other location with basically one larger room, but you have different rooms and you're able to really display whether it's a gift shop or the books or Pat Conroy's desk, your office. I mean, seems like you've got a lot more space.
It does feel that way, which is wonderful. It's a more curated experience, I would say, sort of the same way you would encounter a book as a series of chapters. Now our exhibit is set up in that way too, sort of thematic rooms. So we have a room all about the Conroy family, for example. We have a room about Pat as student and teacher, a period of about 12 years, which just transforms his life here in Beaufort and at the Citadel and on Defusky Island. That gets its own exhibit in this space. And Pat's desk, which has always been the centerpiece of the whole exhibit, is now beautifully positioned with a view of the Beaufort River straight behind the desk in a room that's all about Pat as writer. So the gallery experience, even though it's so many things that we've had before, just feels completely different in the new space.
So how has it been received so far?
Well, we've been open about a week and a half.
Right.
We've done several virtual tours and quite a few in person as well. Guests have come from about 6 states so far, and they've just been blown away by the experience. It means so much to us to share this space and these stories in such a meaningful way, and guests have been so responsive to it.
Now, let's talk about when you're open, and again, this location is 601 Bladen Street. So
that's right.
It was a law office, you had said at one time.
Yes.
So yeah, talk about your opening and the tours, the private and the public, and
sure,
all of that.
Absolutely. So we're open Thursday through Sunday from noon to 4 p.m. And folks can show up, no appointment needed at this point. We are still requiring masks, and we're doing social distancing, of course, and we have some limitations on the number of people who can be in the space at one time. But given the layout, it's much more easy to spread people out through different rooms.
Right.
So we've not had to pause people at the door at this point. Private tours are very popular for a lot of reasons. It's a nice experience to have the center to yourself, and given our pandemic circumstances, it just feels safer for a lot of folks. So those can be arranged for a donation just by contacting us a day or two in advance. We're very happy to make arrangements for volunteers to be here to do that as well.
That's wonderful. And then virtual.
Yes, that can be scheduled in advance too. I've done 3 virtual tours of the center in the week and a half that we've been open, including the day after we moved in, which was a lot of fun too. But already some people who were on a virtual tour from Greenville have come down and they've seen the place in person. So
the room we're in now is it's basically a classroom, right?
Right. This is a space we've never had before, and this is a real treasure of this building. During March 4th, Holland Perryman, my co-host, and I did several segments from in here. But when it's possible to meet in person, this will be a classroom space for workshops where our monthly book club can meet, where our monthly writers critique group can resume meeting in person. It's a very flexible space. It's going to have a lot of uses over time, and it's something we did not have in the earlier building.
Right.
So this is great.
I love the bookshelves. You're really able to display.
It's the legacy of the law office that was here. We had all these wonderful built-in bookshelves, and what literacy center or literary center would not want all of that. So it's worked out really well.
You mentioned, Jonathan, March 4th.
Yes.
Which, of course, a celebration of Pat Conroy, of course, and his passing. And it was a big success this year. So tell us about it. You had an international audience.
We did, which we've never had before. It's grown year after year, and there's a little uncertainty about what it would or wouldn't be as a virtual event, since it meant so much to so many people to be there in person. But it was just a remarkable success virtually. We did have an international audience, which we've never had before.
Right.
People from across the country who could never participate in person were able to Zoom in for a session or all 8 sessions if they were with us all 3 days.
Right.
Everything was recorded, and all of those segments are now freely available on our YouTube channel, where hundreds of people are discovering them now after the fact as well, too. So it continues to resonate in ways that, as beautiful as the in-person event was, it did not have this longevity to it that the virtual event does.
You mentioned earlier, we have about a minute left, your donors, your partners,
Yes.
the support that you've received from this community. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Absolutely. That's what makes it possible for us to be in this building as a 5-year-old nonprofit. It's the generosity of people who give both large gifts and small gifts. And as we walked around, we've seen some rooms named after donors or named by donors in honor of someone else. And we've had really wonderful folks who maybe can't give money but have given their time to this project. Elaine Scott, for example, from Porch Productions, came in and figured out where everything went on every single wall. Just the amount of time, the amount of genius she put into the exhibit is wonderful.
Yes.
Red Cap was great. They moved us in like it was nothing, like it was the easiest thing in the world. Well, we've been working with Beaufort Construction on the renovations. Alpha Graphics has donated all the signs you see, interior and exterior, to the building. So people to continue to give in whatever way they can toward what this space means to so many people.
Outstanding. Well, it's good seeing you again in our new space. I'm so looking forward to bringing North of the Broad to all of you right here at the new Pat Conroy Literary Center, the permanent home. So thanks, Jonathan, and we'll be right back.